Megan.
Let's give a big blues alley welcome to Miss Eva Cassidy.
Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to go out fishing in an ocean or a creek, but it wouldn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to climb a mountain and reach the highest peak, but it wouldn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Won't you come dance with me? I want my arms about you, the charms about you will carry me through to heaven. I'm in heaven. The cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together, dancing cheek to cheek.
Welcome to Chillin' with Larry Megan. Tonight we've got a really special show lined up tonight. That's Eva Cassidy singing Cheek to Cheek. Eva died of melanoma cancer in 1996 at the age of 33 years old. You may know the story. 5 years after she passed, Over the Rainbow went to #1 in England, and her CD Songbird also went to #1. It's gone triple platinum over there, gold over here. Huge success, great story. We've got a great show lined up tonight. Don't go away. We're coming to it. Just a minute. All right. Love that. Cheek to Cheek. Boy, that girl, she could really swing. She sings the ballads. She can sing jazz, country, gospel. The girl could do it all. In any case, tonight's show is all about a tribute to Eva Cassidy, and I'm very excited about this show. We've got her parents that are going to be joining us in just a couple of minutes. In fact, they're standing by now. We've got a couple of her band members that played on that very song right there at Blues Alley. That was in January from 1996. She passed away in November 96. We have the drummer and the guitar player going to be joining us later tonight. We have another special guest that was instrumental in her rise to popularity here in the States. He owns a jazz club in Boston, and Fred Taylor is going to be joining us a little bit later. And if you're new here to Chillin' with Larry Megan, we do this every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and it really is a labor of love. Usually we'll throw in a classic movie. No classic movie tonight. Tonight's all about Eva Cassidy, and we'll talk all about her and, you know, how I discovered her, and like everybody else, their reaction and my reaction to her. Now, if you're new to Chillin' with Larry Megan and Acorn TV, please, you know, click on the little Facebook button over on the right-hand side there, and you can like our Facebook fan page. We do put notices of when the shows are going to be and what's going to be on the shows and that kind of thing, and you can follow along with us. Now, tonight we're also going to be doing something unique. We're going to be giving away a pair of AMC movie theater tickets. And Walter, I know you won last week, and I'm going to tell you right now, I apologize. They haven't gone out yet, but they're going to go out tomorrow, Walter, if you're watching us tonight. I've had an extremely busy week, and I just didn't have time to get it out. But tomorrow we'll get them both out to the winner tonight. And what we're going to do to win the tickets, we're going to take what we deem at the end of the show to be the best call of the night. We want you to call in and join us here. You'll see the number on the screen, right below the player on the screen. It's the 310 number. And we can take your calls. If you have video Skype, you can video Skype us to Acorn TV, and we can put you on a split screen. So whoever is the best contributor of the night, then, you know, we will give away a pair of AMC movie theater tickets. Okay, lot going on. We've got, okay, thank you, Ronnie. We've got on the line with us now, we have Barbara and Hugh Cassidy. Of course, they are the parents of Eva Cassidy. And I want to thank you both for agreeing to participate tonight and offer a very sincere and heartfelt welcome to you. I want to start with Hugh. I know that you are a musician. And can you talk about your musical influence, Hugh, on all of your children when they were young?
We did a lot of work. I did a lot of work with the kids when they were very young because it was a passion of mine. So we had them. I dearly wanted to get them to sing harmonies at an early age, just because I enjoy it so much. And that we accomplished that. We got some tunes with 4-part harmony, but gradually it whittled down to the three of us, Danny, Eva, and myself, although the other girls are good singers. Mm-hmm. And so we performed at Easter and Christmas just for family things. You know, we probably bored our families silly, but it was good experience for the kids.
And Hugh, wasn't it you that also taught Eva how to play the guitar?
I started her off, but I truthfully cannot claim any expertise. She learned finger picking, and she didn't get it from me. And she was at the point in her teenagerhood where we butted heads a little bit, so I didn't have time to show her some of the more intricate stuff, although she surpassed me in every realm. I mean, at an early age, she was doing diminished chord runs and other things, you know. Showed her some of those, but she went on to become quite a good picker.
And Barbara, just to bring you in here, of course, playing guitar was not Eva's only interest. She liked to draw at a very young age also, didn't she?
Eva is also a very gifted what do you call it? Artist, yes. And as a little one, you know, when she started out with drawing stick people at age 2, you could already tell that she had a wonderful talent there because her stick people had movement. And she also scribbled on the walls in the house, and, you know, we had to provide her with lots of paper and crayons, so she wouldn't do that anymore.
Maybe you remember a fellow, Nipsey Russell, a comedian. Well, she was so taken with him in his tuxedo that, but how old was she when she did that?
She was 4.
She was 4 years old, and she drew a picture of him in his tuxedo in front of a microphone singing.
And a little brown face.
And
you know.
you couldn't tell now. I won't say you could tell it was Nipsey Russell, but I mean, for 4 years old, we thought it was remarkable, you know.
Yeah, her artwork is truly amazing. Aside from her creative interests, was she a difficult child? What kind of a child was she?
Very inquisitive about everything, just about everything. I mean, little tiny flowers, little bugs, the colors of leaves, the color of the sky. I mean, it was, and we often went out on weekend trips to Cedarville Park, which is in the area, and other parks. And I got them so where they could identify trees. And one of the nice things I wanted to get them to do just for fun is to identify trees from a moving car, just from the shape of the tree, rather than just from the leaves, and noticing their colors. And I'm a sort of a nature bug anyway. I was always into animals and snakes and turtles as a kid, and I got them interested in all that stuff. But Barbara can address that. Her inquisitiveness was just very noticeable at that.
And her perception, she just saw everything, every little detail, and it was such a rich experience just driving with her and her pointing things out. And when she was a little one, she said, "Mom, in winter the trees look like they're posing, for a picture when the foliage is gone." And she was always drawn to the water and loved all the creatures in the water, and all our children love animals and life, just nature.
That's great. Any other memories of Eva as a child come to mind?
She wanted to learn how to ride the bicycle because their older siblings already knew how, and I had this little green bicycle, and I held her and guided her along, holding on. But I said, Eva, now I can't do this all day, I got things to do in the house. So she got on that little bike, and she tried it on the lawn, and she fell, and she got up, and she was angry, and she tried it until she learned that same day how to ride a bike.
Okay. Well, Barbara, it's been well documented that Eva worked with you in a nursery. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
She worked with the outside crew, with the trees and shrubs, and she always liked a physical activity. Although she was petite, she was very, very strong, and she had to fight like mad to be the first female to drive the tractor in the company, and she finally accomplished that, and she thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And she said, "Mom, I have to keep a serious face to keep from grinning because it's such fun."
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about when Eva first began to perform publicly? What do you recall?
She was still working out a lot of it. Some of these clubs and things were actually pool halls and delicatessens in the daytime, and shoved the bread cases out of the way, and a little jamming musical venue at night. And then it started getting bigger from there. But and then of course led to Wolf Trap, which is one of our big venues here in Maryland and
in Virginia.
And in Virginia, yeah. And where else?
In Annapolis, in these beautiful old historic buildings.
Yeah,
she would perform in high school.
Right,
yeah.
In high school, yeah, one of the parks. Well, she was in rock groups at that time, and her ballads were rather, those that she did were rather shoved to the side because the group wasn't into that. The first group that she was in were these high school bands, and they were largely geared to rock.
Hugh, you just mentioned that her ballads were shoved to the side. I take it that you preferred Eva singing the ballads?
I guess it was more of a good feeling at the way she captured the spirit of the ballad later on. That grabbed me more than the heavy tunes. Personally, for whatever it's worth, I much prefer her ballads than any of her other stuff. But that's me. Other people like the other, which she does well. She had this wonderful gift for crossing genres and making it seem like that's what she was, a blues singer or a country singer or, you say she could do that. And very amazing to me.
And she was always accompanied by some wonderful musicians, and these people from high school, they remained friends with her to her last day in her life. It was amazing, the friendships that that had developed early, and they just continued forever.
Yeah, Eva does seem to have that effect on people. I spent some time, quite a bit of time actually, reading the comments of so many people that become fans of Eva and also her musical gift. And it seems as though everyone has a similar story. They hear Eva sing just one time and bang, that's it. They just love her instantly. And of course, it was the same for me. I'm sure you've heard this before. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm reading a book now that's called Your Brain on Music by a physiologist, and it's terribly, terribly deep. I'm wading through it because it talks about the brain and all these things, and because I've often wondered as to what it is with Kate Wolf and Eva and Edith Piaf and others who have this certain magic in their voices that draws people in. Maybe one day we'll have some machine that can pick up and say, oh yes, that's the emotional thing on the doodah from the amygdala, and it does this and that, and that's why. Her phrasing, which was so remarkable, just holding a note for one extra beat or a half a beat or cutting it off abruptly, those things all play into the ball game of how you sing a song. And where do you put the emphasis of the vibrato, and where do you want vibrato placed in the song? Well, that's what I'm talking about. And she seemed to be have that mastered pretty well. It's not only the timbre of her voice, but how she arranged those tunes. I mean, because Over the Rainbow was one of those songs, as you mentioned, that's one you don't touch. Said that they felt that she completely deconstructed it and put it back together again.
Interesting. All right. One of the things that struck me in doing my research here is really how fortunate that we all are to have as many recordings that we have from Eva, because especially since most of them are live recordings. I counted, I think, 10 albums now that she has out, with 8 of them coming out since she passed. And I realize that some of the songs are on more than one album, but do you have a favorite album of Eva's?
I think Songbird is our favorite.
Yes, the Songbird album. Yes. These songs, of course, were already in the can and were going to be released, and then it was, we decided to bring those out. Many of them were live, and you can tell that by the applause and by the clinking of glasses and other things. And in some cases, Blix Records decided to leave that in, and other places they cut that out. And in many instances, it was impossible to take that out. And in some occasions, that lends to the charm of the live action there as to what was going on. We've kicked that around a little bit as to how to arrange those things. And the Songbird, for instance, going back to that album for a moment, was really a masterful putting together. He spent a great deal of time in segueing those songs in just the way that he felt that they should be presented, and I think he did a bang-up job. Now, I can't say that about some of the ensuing albums, but Songbird was very well done.
Well, since you both favor Songbird as your favorite album, I thought now would be a good time to let's have a little sample. And I picked out one of my favorite songs on the album. So let's stop and take a listen to Eva from Songbird.
There's a train a-comin'. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to it be so's a humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord, yeah.
Picking up passengers from coast to coast.
Now there ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who's hard on mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances are thinner, 'cause there's no hiding place from the kingdom stone. Oh, people get ready, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear these souls are humbling. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm getting ready. I'm ready, yeah. Oh, I'm getting ready.
All right. All right. I love that song. She does such a great job on that. Hugh, just before we went to the song, you had mentioned Blick Street Records. And, of course, that's run by a gentleman by the name of Bill Straw. How did that record deal come about? I am curious about that. Was that something that you arranged after she passed, or?
There is a local singer, I don't know if you've heard of her, Grace Griffiths, and Eva always admired her, and they didn't become friends until the very end of Eva's life. And Grace is the one who approached Bill and sent him some of Eva's tapes and said, Bill, you have to listen to this girl. She's a nightingale, and she doesn't have much longer to live. You take a listen, and that's how it all started with Blick Street.
Okay. I know, from my research that Blix really did go, went to an all-out effort to package and promote Eva here in the States. But really, Eva rose to notoriety and great popularity over in England first. Over the Rainbow, of course, went to #1. Songbird became the #1 best-selling CD in the UK. And Eva even had 5 of the top selling 150 selling CDs, in the UK, which is just epic proportions, Beatle-like proportions there. Can you tell us about that?
We went over there and did some touring for radio stations. I think we had 13 appointments where we were on the radio and faced audiences and did the same thing that we're doing now. And of course, the big thing was when they saw that black and white amateur video, which caught them by such surprise because it was so non-slick and gritty, and well, not gritty, but so non-slick without the dancing girls and all this other claptrap that you see today. But it was just her on the video doing the stuff by an amateur cameraman, and they liked the fact that it was so without artifice. Realize that's a different system over there. Cream rises to the top. We don't have categorizations. When I was a kid, the top 10 songs could have been all over the map. Today, they're all in genres, and you have hip-hop stations, you have rhythm and blues stations, country stations, rock stations, you name it. It's out there. They don't. I mean, the music of the people used to be the top 10, and everybody was listening to different stuff, but there was a cohesion to it, and you could do it all on one station, Mm-hmm. You remember that. So England doesn't have that hidebound system, If it's good stuff, they play it. That's it.
Barbara, from our previous conversation, I know that your favorite song of Eva's is I Know You by Heart. So, as we say goodbye to you and Hugh, we're going to wrap this segment up, with that song. And I'm going to give you the final word here, Barbara.
We are totally grateful about the graciousness of all these wonderful, wonderful fans. And Eva was a wonderful person, very talented, and also a very kind human being, very sensitive to other people's feelings. And I don't know if she ever was seeking fame, but I think she's smiling down on it all.
Yeah, I think so too, Barbara. Thank you both so much. I want to give you a very warm thank you for sharing with us tonight. God bless you both. Okay. We're going to hear I Know You by Heart.
Midnights in winter, the glowing fire lights up your face in orange and gold. I see your sweet smile shine through the darkness. Its line is etched in my memory, so I know you by heart. Mornings in April, sharing our secrets, we'd walk until the morning was gone. We were like children, laughing for hours. The joy you gave me lives on and on. 'Cause I know you by heart. I still hear your voice on warm summer nights, whispering like the wind. Oh, you left in autumn, the leaves were turning. I walked down roads of orange and gold. I saw your sweet smile, I heard your laughter. You're still here beside me every day. 'Cause I know you by heart. 'Cause I know you by
Okay, I want to thank Barbara and Hugh Cassidy for joining us here tonight. very gracious of them. We're going to go to a quick break now, but don't go away. When we come right back, we've got Mr. Boston Jazz, or Mr. Jazz of Boston, Fred Taylor, standing by, and he was very instrumental in getting Eva heard here in the States, and we're going to talk about that. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Chill with Larry Megan.
ZuluTimeZone.com is the first and only authorized dealer for Offshore Limited in the United States. ZuluTimeZone.com is proud to support Chillin' with Larry Megan and Acorn TV. Use the discount coupon code DAD to receive an additional $20 off per item. ZuluTimeZone.com digs Chillin' with Larry Megan.
Chill with Larry Megan.
Well, welcome back to the show. Tonight we're paying tribute to Eva Cassidy. And nice job, Ronnie. You can hear that little bit of music in the background there. One of my favorites. That's Frank Sinatra. And the reason I'm playing Frank Sinatra is because my guest coming up here, Fred Taylor, it's one of his favorites too. So, Fred, welcome to the show. Welcome to Chillin' with Larry Megan.
Hey, great. This is very exciting. Glad to be on with you, Larry. It's quite an honor.
Okay, fantastic. Well, really, it's an honor for me, Fred. You are Mr. Jazz of Boston. Is it Mr. Boston Jazz or Mr. Jazz of Boston?
Gee, I don't know. You can have it any way you'd like it, but I have spent, I guess, most of my life in the jazz community. So I'll take the title.
You know, in doing my research, of course, on Eva Cassidy, my research brought me to you, but then I had to do research on you, of course, I mean, my goodness gracious, for the last, 40, 50 years, the legends that you've been with, Miles Davis, Anita O'Day, Chuck Berry. I mean, you own probably, the hottest jazz club in Boston.
Well, I'll tell you, it all started back, tape recorders are what got me started. I thought when the first tape recorder came out, I had a Revere tape recorder. It had a 3 3/4 speed and a 5-inch reel, and I thought that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I started running around recording local music scenes. And then I stepped up to when they came out with a little more advanced machine, a 7.5 IPS and a 7-inch reel, and bought myself a real microphone, an Electro Voice 630. And I had a band when I was going to Boston University called the Don Creighton Orchestra. And my pianist, Creighton Hoyt, used to tell me when he was in the service, there was an incredible pianist in his unit, and he was pretty well known on the West Coast. And if he ever came east, I've got to catch him. And one day I looked at an ad in the newspaper, and it said, Dave Brubeck is going to be at Storyville in Boston. And I said, well, that's the guy that Creighton's been telling me about. So I went down with my little tape recorder, and I introduced myself to Dave. And as soon as I mentioned Creighton Hoyt, he said, oh, my God, Creighton saved my life in the Army. go listen, do whatever you want to do. So it was Paul Desmond and Dave Brubeck, and I think the drummer was Joe Dodge. The bass player wasn't. It was a Sunday afternoon. I recorded the session, and Dave wanted to hear what we had. I said, well, I can't play it for you here. I just have the recording stuff. We'll have to go back to my folks' house and plug it into the system. So they climbed into my car, and we drove back. And Dave said, Jesus, after I plugged in, he said, that's great. I'd love to get a copy. I said, well, I'll go to a studio Monday and have him make a dub. Bottom line is I got a call, and his record company said, we want to put that out. So it came out as a 10-inch LP. This was 1952. And the notes were written by Nat Hentoff, who was a DJ at the time in Boston, who has since become a very famous writer and does stuff for the Wall Street Journal. I mean, he's written great things. And the album got written up as one of the best new works in the New York Times. It also was one of the first to do extended time because of the new LP format. People were still recording 3-minute cuts. And Over the Rainbow, by the way, which is rather incredible, the fact of Eva Cassidy's Over the Rainbow and Dave Brubeck's piano recording of Over the Rainbow at that time just created a sensation. And that album went on to become incredible. And because of the success, it was on Fantasy. Columbia Records signed Dave. And that's and when it started. And then later in life, I fell into owning Paul's Mall and the Jazz Workshop, 1963 through 78. And that's when we introduced and helped promote all the superstars that you see today. And then after that closed in 78, and I did concerts, and I got called to help out the Doubletree Hotel in Boston, which was starting a little jazz lounge. So I came in, and it's now 23 years later.
Yeah.
And Sculler's Jazz Club has become one of the top 10 in the country, I'm very proud to say.
Yeah, Fred, you know, Ronnie is nudging me over here, my engineer. He's asking me to let you know that you don't have to lean forward because you're leaning out of the picture. Just, kind of lean backwards. Anyway, because you look great, you sound great. I think you must have a new computer because the sound is coming over just great.
Oh, good. It is an HP Pavilion. I got it about a year ago.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Oh, that's perfect, what you're doing right now. Okay, perfect. What a great story. Tell us a little bit now about, how did, Eva Cassidy experience, touch you, and how did it come into your life? And I know you were one of the few people that actually was awarded, received a gold record for her when she got a, gold record for Songbird here in the United States. Yes,
that's true. All right, here's how it started. Roger Lifeset, who is a radio promotion man, sends out, new releases for artists. And I get a ton of them every week. And to be honest with you, it's very hard to listen to all of them. So you put them in a pile, and you figure every so often you'll peel off a couple and listen. Well, I had a bunch of them in my bedroom, because I have a little small hi-fi in the bedroom. And I got up one Sunday morning, and I happened to glance down, and there was this CD sitting on top, and it was a picture of this gal, blonde, and a sort of a pretty country, wholesome kind of look, and it said Songbird was the title, and I said, geez, I wonder what this is. So I opened it up, I threw it on my little player, and I started to walk to the kitchen, and I heard this voice come on, and I said, oh my God, what is this? And I rushed back, and I think Fields of Gold was the cut that was playing. And I started reading. I said, boy, I got to bring her into the club. This, what a voice, my God. And I started reading the liner notes, and then my heart went right down into my feet when I read she had died of melanoma cancer.
Well, you know, let me stop you right there, and we're going to finish this story. But you know, in my preliminary call with you, you had mentioned Roger Lifeset. So you know, I don't know if you're aware of it, but I actually reached out to Roger and I called him. Of course, he's in Los Angeles, as you know, and he had nothing but the nicest things to say about you. And you know, he has total respect for you, and he went on to say how important you were. He said you were the first believer as far as, you know, the public goes in the United States. I mean, those around Eva, of course, were believers already, but he said you were the first believer, and you got her played in Boston and everything. But I asked Roger to join us tonight, and he had a previous engagement. He could not join us, unfortunately. So what I did is I asked him if it would be okay if I taped the phone call, and I cut just a couple of clips, and I want to play one for you.
Sure.
His memory of exactly how that went down is slightly different than yours, but basically the same story. Ronnie, do we have that first one queued up? What is the first one, Ronnie? Number one. Okay. All right. Check it out. Here's your good friend, Roger Lifeset, who, just for everybody listening, Roger is the one that got involved promoting Songbird here in the United States. Bill Straw of Blix Records came to Roger, and Roger sent it to you. So here we go. So how did the whole Eva Cassidy journey begin with you?
Okay, well, with me, I guess I always was a trusted friend of Bill. We've done some work for him in the past. I'm definitely a gun for hire. I call myself a musical mercenary. I'm basically an independent promotion man. And I work exclusively these days and in those days in the smooth jazz format, which doesn't play a lot of vocals, but Eva Cassidy had some magic that said, well, maybe I can enhance whatever you're going to do. And I tried, and we did okay with it, nothing great, but Bill wanted to go further with it because he trusted me, and there are a lot of people in my business who maybe you couldn't trust that much. He said, Roger, I want you to cook up a salary. I want you to put together a budget for hiring half a dozen people, thereabouts, whatever you need for a staff of independent people that particularly hone in on the AC format, adult contemporary format, and put them on. You run the network of people. You work with the trades. I'll put together an advertising budget so we can advertise. And I want to break Eva Cassidy any way I can, and AC radio seems to be a very good avenue. So we did do that. We hired the people, and we went out there and did it. We had the story of what had happened in England for her, the whole story about how one of the jocks over in BBC had played her, and they really picked up on her over there, and the record started selling like crazy. It eventually became the #1 record over there, and it was this wonderful album that had come out. It was a kind of a collection of her stuff, and it had never seen the light of day in this country nationally. It had come out, you know, and she sold them at gigs and whatever, but she really hadn't done much with it. And fortunately, as you will tell the story, her demise was before any of these things happened. Mm-hmm. She died before her recording career started, you know, connecting the dots, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So this would be... that's part of it. I didn't get to the part where he talked about you. In fact, that's the third cut, Ronnie. We're going to play that in just 1 second, where he talks about you and how he sent the CD to you. But you know, what was interesting to me is that you had the same reaction that I did and so many other people did, is that the instant you heard her sing, Fred, it was, noticeable. It was, oh my goodness, what is this, or who is this? I had the same reaction, and so many other people tell the same story when you look at all the comments they put on these forums and on her website and everything. And I know you must get a million audition tapes and CDs and those kinds of things. What is it about Eva Cassidy for you?
Well, I guess number one, the actual tone, sound of her voice was attention-getting. And in it was an emotion and a soulfulness that just cried out. You could feel it. It was almost like somebody breathing. That it has so much content to it, and then the way she accompanied herself, she played a beautiful acoustic guitar, and just the notes she played were just, everything was just perfect. It accommodated. And the thing that absolutely blew my mind was that she, like Fields of Gold, which was a Sting, very popular song by Sting, she gave it a whole new reading. Then she'd go on and do a blues tune, Stormy Weather.
Yeah.
And she sang blues as if that was the only thing that she did. It was so incredible. Then she would sing a jazz tune, dancing. By the way, some of these tunes are on other albums like Blues Alley.
Sure.
And Blues Alley and Songbird have probably the greatest collection of her songs.
Sure.
And then she would do a gospel tune, and she would be sore like Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
And it's everything that she selected was as if that was her forte. And she just had so many fortes, which was a very incredible thing about her. And then the musicians that worked with her in the oh gosh, I'm blanking on her the producer,
Chris Biondi.
Chris Biondi. Yeah, thank you. I mean, they melded and did a beautiful job of working with her.
Yes.
And so it was just an emotional experience, an exhilarating experience listening to her.
Have you seen, looking at all the different cuts that are out there on the internet of her on YouTube and everything, about 3 years ago or maybe 4 years ago, they took, you mentioned the way she liked soul and Aretha Franklin, they took the song Chain of Fools and they kind of sweetened it. They added some other instruments and background singers, and they used telecine. I don't know if you're familiar with telecine, which is a video process where you can zero in on just one aspect of the film, and it came in tight on her face, and they faded out around her, and they really sweetened it. But it's her sound, it's her track. Have you seen that cut of Chain of Fools?
No, I haven't.
Well,
is that on YouTube?
I was going to play that a little bit later, but I think I want to play that for you because later on tonight, in about 40 minutes, we're going to have her guitar player and drummer, Keith Grimes and Raice McLeod, are going to join us together. And I was going to play that during their segment, but since you mentioned Aretha Franklin and everything, I think this one kind of blew my mind, what they did with it. It just goes to show you digitally what they can do. They take footage from, what is it now, 15, 16 years ago, and they're adding in background vocals and other instruments now, and they're using telecine digitally, and it came out really nice. But it's Eva all the way. Ronnie, do you have that one? Let check this out, Fred.
Oh, love to.
Chain, chain, chain. Chain, chain, chain. Chain, chain, chain. Chain of fools. For my lonely, yeah. chain, 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 chain of fools. Well, every chain has got a weak link. I might be a weak child, oh, but I feel your strength. You told me to leave you alone. My papa said, come on. My doctor said, take it easy. Oh, but your loving is much too strong. I'm added to your chain, chain, chain. 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 Chain of fools. I ain't nothing but your fool. Take it easy. Take it easy. You got me where you want me. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy on me. You told me to leave you alone. My papa said, come on. My doctor said, take it easy. Oh, but your loving is much too strong. I'm added to your chain, chain, chain. 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 Chain of fools. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy on me. My brother said, come on.
It's amazing what they can do with a little modern technology, huh?
Larry, when did she actually do that, and what was the accompaniment originally?
You know, that's a good question for both Keith and Raice. I don't know. I'm going to assume that was done in January of '96, but I don't really know for sure because it looks like it was at Blues Alley, and I know she did a lot of, there was a bunch of recordings in January of '96 at Blues Alley. So, but I know they played there other times too, and as I said to Barbara and Hugh earlier tonight, I'm just amazed at the level, the volume of recordings we have on her. Although I'm sure there's many people that would say that, we wish we had more and it's a shame we don't have more. And I'm sure it is a shame we don't have more. But when you stop and consider that almost everything that we have on her is live recordings, not studio recordings, it's amazing they have what they have.
Yeah, no, it's really been wonderful. The compilations and the research and the digging up and from studios and rehearsals and what have you. It's great. I'll tell you, some of the, some of her work. When I listen to it, I start to get teary.
I do too.
Autumn Leaves. Oh my God. It's just, she's so soulful. And
especially when you consider, the story.
Well, then that just, it puts it away.
I know. I get teary-eyed too, Fred. Maybe we're just a couple of old, saps.
Well, no, I'll tell you something. No, it's not just us. I can tell you that. I have had people that one woman told me that she was going into some surgery. It was pretty serious, and her request was that in the operating room they play Eva Cassidy during the surgery. And I have so many stories of people that have used her music to kind of supplement some of their life experiences. So there is more than just another pretty girl singing a song. Oh boy, it goes so much further.
I can't wait to get Keith and Raice here on the show because there's so much I want to ask them about. Just by research, I almost feel like I know her, although obviously I never knew her or met her or anything like that. But she was evidently so shy, and she evidently didn't have much confidence. And it's, to me, a testament to these musicians that played with her, that they saw it in her in the sense of, the willingness on their part to put her up front and back her up and support her and really surround her talent. I think it's a testament to those guys. And I'm very anxious to, talk to them about that. Go ahead.
You know that she was brought to the Blue Note Records and Bruce Lundvall, and they tried to package her with a soul R&B thing, and they didn't quite know what to do because she liked too many things. She didn't want to be pigeonholed, so nothing really ever came of that.
Yeah.
Speeding fast forward, I'm working with Nora Jones. I heard her first demo, and I was the first one to bring her in. We brought her to Sculler's Jazz Club just before her record was released. And I sat down, we had a little dinner together and with her manager at the time. And I said, "Do you know about Eva Cassidy?" And she said, "Oh, yes. Bruce Lundvall told me I'm not going to make the same mistake with you that I made by not signing and keeping Eva Cassidy."
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things.
We have that sound bite. It's a few minutes here. Maybe we'll cut it short, but I wanted to get that part in about Roger talking about you, because again, it was Roger that first turned you on to Eva, and hear what he has to say about what you did for Eva and probably why you have that gold record sitting behind you. I take it the gold record behind you, is that the Eva Cassidy gold record for Songbird?
Yeah. Here, I tell you what.
Don't hurt yourself, Fred. Wow.
Can you see this?
Yeah. Now, was that presented to you by Bill Straw, or was that from Roger? Or?
Yeah, Bill Straw sent this. This is it's the presented to Fred Taylor to commemorate the RIAA certified gold sales of more than 500,000 copies of the Blick Street Records album, cassette, and CD Songbird.
Very nice. Do you keep that in the club?
No, I have that in my office on the wall.
Okay.
I took it from the office just to bring to.
Yeah, but the office in the club, right?
No, I have an independent, separate office.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. And of course, in my research, I saw that the same album that went gold here in the States, that Songbird, it went triple platinum in the UK and platinum in, I think it was maybe Australia or Iceland, or, it's an international story. It's an international success. But Ronnie, let's play that little soundbite of Roger. And I know he's a good friend of Fred's.
Absolutely.
Probably from that one album has probably 6 albums out now. Something like that.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. How did the man who put you and I together, Fred Taylor? How did he factor in?
That's the story I wanted to tell you, because that's really the consequence of beautiful things, like what Eva Cassidy did, and the things that just popped up as a result of it. Fred has been on my mailing list. Fred owns a jazz club in Boston. He's owned a couple of different ones, and he's been in business since, the early 60s in Boston as a jazz impresario. And Fred has been on my mailing list since I started, working for myself, which, by the way, is 33 years as an indie. So I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked for a lot of record companies, but I've really worked for myself for the longest of any of them. Never was a good company guy, but put me on my own and I'm just fine. Hang on just one sec. Sorry about this.
Sure.
I'll call you back. Cool. All right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So Fred's been on my mailing list for 30 years, whatever. And it's just because he's from my hometown of Boston. And also, over the years, Boston hasn't done well with the kind of music I work on. So Fred is probably my only living person that's been there for a long time, who has anything to do. Just so happens he owns a club and is books the club, that he books a lot of the acts I work with. So for that reason, kind of indirectly, it's good to keep him on my mailing list so he hears these new releases and new artists. And I don't think I've ever gotten a call from Fred, asking me, who's this person you sent me? Who is this person? But I did on Eva Cassidy. I got a phone call. He says, who is, he was lost for words to describe the experience he had of listening to Eva Cassidy in his office. He really didn't have words to describe it. I could tell. I know what it was because the same thing happened to me.
Yeah, and me.
I couldn't tell you what it was, but just putting on something in the background and listening to it, and then it demanding my full, utmost attention, and to read the literature that came with it, and no more, and just, whatever. Anyway, Fred called up and said, this Eva Cassidy, that somewhere over the rainbow, I can't tell you. I mean, he's probably had 1,000 people in his club that have sung Over the Rainbow, and everybody thought maybe Judy Garland did the best version of it. But all bets were off after people heard Eva Cassidy. She got some meaning out of it that I don't think anybody had ever gotten out before. And according to the BBC, I throw this in, because we had all sorts of stuff coming from them, the number one favorite song of all time, when they polled their audience in England from the BBC, was Over the Rainbow. And actually, Time Magazine, when they did some covering of Eva Cassidy, they made the same survey, and it came out the same way here. The favorite song out there in the world is Over the Rainbow. And
wow.
She does the consummate version of it. So, anyway, back to Fred. Fred is speechless. He loves her. He's telling me about every song, but it's Over the Rainbow. It just kills him. He says, well, I want to book her. I don't care if anybody knows who she is. I don't care if she's got any name for herself. I want to book her in my club. I want to give her a top draw booking in here. I've stuck my neck out before, but I'm definitely going to do it on this one. I want to book her. Can you put me in touch with somebody who could set that up for me? And, of course, I'm thinking Bill Straw. But there are a couple of other problems.
Yeah, she's
I said, Fred,
not living.
Fred, I've got some great news for you and some bad news for you. The first thing is that thank goodness you were my first call on the whole thing, because I respect you so much. I mean, when I started in the business, Fred was already well entrenched in the business. He was just a great guy. He was ageless. Always had a very youthful attitude and just ageless about any kind of music. So I said, I agree with you. This is really something special. My first phone call of reinforcement of what I'm thinking, now that the record went in the mail, is you. And, gee, I mean, how long has it been since I spoke with you? And when have you ever picked up the phone to call me, who's this lady I've never heard of before, and I want to book her in the club? I said, I agree with you wholeheartedly. She is something special, but now the bad news. She's dead. He goes, oh, my God. I mean, we hit a big bump in the road, if not a sinkhole. And I said, she passed away some years ago. This record has been released after her death. It's a collection of her stuff, and she's not here to appreciate the accolades that I believe are going to come her way and the success that goes with it. It ain't going to happen. And Fred was like, there was a long pause there, but he said, I'm going to do everything I can. He's got a network of people that he's worked over the years.
Sure.
And even in a market like Boston, where I don't have a full-time radio station playing the kind of music I work, I've had them in Boston. I've had them in Minneapolis. I've had them in Miami and New York and all over the place. But the format of smooth jazz has fallen off the radar. Isn't a terribly popular format anymore. So I lost my thought there for a second.
Well, so Fred had a friend at a radio station?
Oh, yeah,
Is
Fred,
that what
Fred
happened?
Fred didn't just have a friend at a radio station. He had all kinds of friends at all kinds of radio stations, and most of them were real jazz heads. They were straight-ahead bebop guys. But everybody, I don't care, if they were serious about music, you could understand Eva Cassidy. And there was something on that first album you could play. There was, she covered a wide gamut of songs, and there was something you could play. And so Fred decided to drum up support for her where his base was in Boston. He called everybody. And everybody came to the party on Eva Cassidy. They started selling some serious numbers of records in Boston, coming from a lot of college stations, public stations. There was one station in town, a AAA station, which is like Cities 97 up there in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
They play more singer-songwriter kind of stuff, not hard rock for the most part. We had one of those in Boston. The lady that worked at that station was very influential, and she started playing it on her show without the program director knowing it. She decided to add it to her own personal playlist. And suddenly, at night, she was getting calls on Eva Cassidy when she played it. And so on and so forth and so on. And Fred just, Fred was, it's like talking about the Beatles and Murray the K, America's first believer. That was always his thing. He was the first believer in the Beatles in America. Well, Fred Taylor was America's first believer on Eva Cassidy. And it's been a galvanizing force for me and Fred. I just spoke to Fred this week, even before, and it had nothing to do with Eva Cassidy, but we speak often. Actually, he's turned me on to a female vocalist that one of the companies that I work with has signed, and she's a huge, pretty much undiscovered artist, but huge in Boston. And Fred has been the one totally responsible for getting her to play with Chris Bodie and Wynton Marsalis, and he's taken his little, place of Boston, although we do call it the hub of the universe, and he's given it that meaning.
All right, Fred. Okay, now that your head's really big, but anyway, so you know what's interesting to me about that is that there was really nothing in it for you. You were completely selfless. You just wanted to share this girl's music, and you really went to work getting her airplay in Boston.
Well, not only that, but I tell you, it did. It so got into my soul that I just said, I've got to let people know about it. I mean, this is something that it's not something that comes along every day. And right. I just had this, it became a mission. And the radio, the airplay on, actually the young lady that I spoke to was Robin Young. She worked for she had just come back to Boston. Robin Young, by the way, is a very interesting story because I knew Robin when she used to have a very popular TV show, WBZ Radio in Boston TV. Rather, WBZ TV was a live show that was very popular in Boston. And then she went on to radio, and then she went into television, and she went to national. She did special human interest stories on the Today Show, and she was very, very successful. And she came back to Boston. It was around that time, and she took this morning DJ position on WBOS in Boston. So knowing that Robin loved a human interest story, and with the power of this, I sent it to her. I brought it to her, and figuring that, she was a perfect person to do something with it. And I remember calling her back a few days afterwards, and I said, gee, Robin, anything happened? She said, oh, my God. The reason I haven't called you is I've been swamped. I gave a little brief explanation about who she was and that she was not with us anymore. And then I put the needle, well, they don't put the needle down anymore, but I'll use the expression, she dropped the needle on the record. She said about 15 seconds, the phone boards just lit up. Wow. And it hasn't stopped. I said, wow, that's great. Well, about a week later, I got a call from the record company, and they said, what are you doing? We can't keep that record in stock in Boston. I said, well, it's just so incredible.
That's awesome.
And so then I said, well, I got to do more. So I approached a writer at the Boston Globe, and I said, look, this is an incredible story. And I convinced her. She went to her editor and got permission to go down to Maryland and interview Barbara and Hugh Cassidy. And she did a feature story in the Globe, a terrific story, which got syndicated. And then I started getting calls from, my name was in the story, and people who happened to pick it up saw it, and they called me. I'd get a call from somebody I knew in Texas, and so the thing sort of started spreading all over the place, and it just kept rolling. It was like a snowball coming down a mountain. It just kept gathering and gathering and getting bigger and bigger. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to happen.
Well, you talked about her soulfulness and everything, and I think it's about time we listen to another Eva Cassidy song. I think the one that, might be my favorite. I mean, it's hard. It's hard picking your favorite of all these ones that are in the can. But between Over the Rainbow and What a Wonderful World, Wonderful World, of course, when I was a kid, Fred, I played trumpet. And I only played for 4 years because I realized I really didn't have the gift. But it was Herb Alpert that made me want to go to my mom and dad and say, I want to play trumpet, And then as soon as I started taking lessons at 9 years old, my trumpet teacher quickly flipped me over to Chet Baker. But, you can't be a young trumpet player way back then and not have an appreciation for Louis Armstrong. I think Louis Armstrong influenced not just trumpet players, but literally all jazz musicians, in my opinion. And what she does with What a Wonderful World, it gives it just this ethereal feeling, this heavenly spirit to it. Of course, I know you're familiar with part of the story where she got the word, from her doctor that she only had approximately 4 months left to live. And she was very strong about it. And I guess all of her friends decided to do a party tribute to her, and she was determined to perform, and she was taking aggressive treatments, for the cancer, and so she wasn't in the best of health, and she announced that she took like huge doses of morphine just so that she could even get up and perform on that, last night. She died 6 weeks later, but she told her father that she was going to do What a Wonderful World, even though she had been working on some other song. And this was the song that she performed, was her last public performance. So let's take a look at that and just enjoy it.
Okay.
I'd like to dedicate this to everyone here. This is one that Louis Armstrong did, and it's one of my favorite songs. And one of Chris's favorite songs, too. Yeah. And he likes it. Okay. They like it outside, too. I see trees that are green and red roses, too. Watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world.
What do you think, Fred?
There's not a dry eye in the house.
You know, they say about that last concert, of course, at the Bayou, I mean, my God, I wouldn't be able to control myself that night.
Yeah.
Wow, you know,
Yeah.
that would have been just amazing.
You know, every song that she sang, she made it her own.
It's true.
She just had, but she inflected such an emotional sense of soul almost into every song, and that was something that was so unique. That was her brand. She emoted a tune.
You know, there's something refreshing too for me, in the sense that she's singing, you know, these songs that we've all become familiar with and we've heard and we know these songs. I mean, nowadays, of course, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's always a talent to hear singer-songwriters, and it's a great talent and a great art. You know, you hear the Stevie Nickses and, you know, and all the other ones that, you know, write all their own songs and everything. And that's great. Nothing against that. But,
Yeah.
you know, you think back, you know, I love classic films. We're not going to be doing a classic film zone tonight. And I like the era, you know, of the 30s and 40s and everything. And the singers used to sing songs by songwriters. The Cole Porter songs, or the whether it's Irving Berlin or Harold Arlen or, you know, Gus Kahn or, you know, whatever, you know, Mac Gordon. They would sing these songs from these great songwriters, and there was no shame in singing somebody else's song, as long as you know, as an artist, interpret that song. And there's something refreshing about, you know, you don't see that much anymore. I mean, everybody will sing the standards and everything. But it seems like that's all Eva did, is she would interpret songs that she liked. And for me, it's just a little bit refreshing.
Oh yeah, no, that was absolutely she had a great variety of things that she liked, and this is what actually puzzled the record companies, because they want to have a channel, you know, a specific thing, and she did not want to be channeled. By the way, do you know that she was also an artist? She did a lot of incredible paintings, sketches, and matter of fact, a lot of the artwork in her on the albums is from her own work. And she also did landscaping. She loved working out in the air and with gardening and.
You know, there's quite a few singers out there that paint and draw. I think, you know, they're creative beings, and you know, obviously, you know, Eva was a very creative individual, but I'm sure you know as well, there's a lot of singers out there that do paintings and drawings. Now, Eva's talent, this one I always found, some of her drawings were a little unusual, but this one, from my understanding, was over the mantle on her parents' fireplace, the original. But I guess they're selling reprints and giclées of her original artwork. Yeah,
you know, talking about one of our most popular singers today, Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett, yeah,
is an incredible painter.
And did I hear also that Andrea Bocelli also paints, or? I mean, he's blind, but I mean, I thought he was an artist as well, or something.
And I'll tell you who else became an incredible artist, and that was Miles Davis. I'll tell you something. When he passed away, his estate took some of the artwork and produced a series of ties. Mm-hmm. There were 3 with his. They sent them to me, and I'll tell you, I love that one of those ties I can wear with almost anything, and it's interesting. There is, I guess, that creative strain.
Yeah.
And carry into many directions.
You know, being a trumpet player, you know, it's always fun to talk about all these great trumpet players from down through the years, and you know, the one that almost everybody goes to first, of course, is Miles Davis. And you know, I'm a West Coast guy. I'm a, you know, Chet Baker. I'm more of a straight ahead guy. And I got to be honest. I mean, I know Miles is a genius. Let's face it. And I know you did a lot. I guess you knew Miles. I guess you did things with him. But yeah, he got so far out there, Fred. Sometimes you think he's never coming back.
Well,
right?
Tell you, if you listen to early Miles, though, he played beautiful, the standards and everything.
That's what people say, is you got to listen to the early Miles, and it would change. Yeah.
Or the stuff with Gil Evans, sketches of Spain and kind of blue. That's really great stuff. By the way, talking about trumpet, I just came from the club from Scullers to here, and I just had Brian Lynch at the club. Brian is a brilliant young trumpet player, and he has a group called the Unsung Heroes, and he played all original music written by other young artists, dedicated to trumpet players who he calls the unsung heroes. They haven't become, popular names, but they're fantastic players. And it's something, it's interesting. We only hear about the ones that, get into the headlines, but there are so many great talents and great players. And it's a great thing. You can call them the unsung heroes. They're everywhere.
Well, we have you noticed on the opening of my show, if you saw the opening, I used Chet Baker. And then we have a segment we do, which we're not doing tonight, called the Classic Film Zone. And I use Harry James for that one. Ronnie, do you have that? The opening for the Classic Film Zone? Yeah. Check this out. You'll remember this tune. It's only like 20 seconds. It's just a little sound bite. Go ahead.
Sure.
I gotta get my trumpet guys in there, Fred.
Hey, I've heard that song before.
That's the name of it. I've heard that song before, absolutely. What about Roy Eldridge and Let Me Off Uptown with Anita O'Day? Now, you knew Anita O'Day, didn't you?
Yeah, I worked and I worked with Roy Eldridge too.
Yeah, you remember the song "Let Me Off Uptown"? And
of course.
Anita.
Anita.
Yeah, exactly. And she told the story how Roy would complain to Gene Krupa that Anita O'Day was upstaging him.
Yeah.
he was upstage. The little white girl was upstaging him, and he was the great trumpet player. But anyway, it's fun.
Listen, you mentioned Harry James. I'll tell you something. Do you know that there was a great singer he traveled with the Harry James band for about 10 years. His name was Ernie Anderson. And Ernie, Ernie is he is a great singer of blues and ballads. And I just went to the 92nd Street Y in New York about 2 weeks ago to see a program with Ernie Andrews with the Bill Charlap Trio, and also Freddie Cole and his quartet. Freddie is Nat's.
So you're saying that Ernie Andrews is still alive and he's still singing?
Yes, and he's magnificent.
Well, one thing I don't understand is how these groups can continue with these names, and of course, I mentioned to you already that we have a correspondent on the Upper West Side in New York, and she's a good friend now. Her name is Barbie Rosine. She's on a cruise up in Alaska right now as we speak, and I was hoping to have Barbie on tonight, especially with you here tonight. But anyway, she's actually the singer for the Harry James Orchestra, and they have a number of these orchestras that go around, and they still carry the name. Now, I believe the band leader that is leading this orchestra, either he played with Harry James or he knew Harry James or whatever. But Barbie Rosine, she sings the jazz stylings that go all the way back to the 20s. And she's just a beautiful lady. She's a wonderful human being. And
know her. Well, I was going to say know her well, but I know her because I presented the Harry James Band in Worcester at the Hanover Theater about a year ago. And I met Barbara, and she's wonderful.
I'll bring that up when I speak to her. Well, we're going to kind of end this segment now, and we're going to get Keith and Raice on the phone. But going out of this, Fred, first of all, it's been just a pleasure to meet you over this whole Eva Cassidy experience. I think what we have to do is I think I have to make a trip to Boston. I have some friends up there in Boston, and it's been too long for me since I've been there. I love Boston. I love it probably more than New York.
Come on down.
Yeah, and I think what we have to do is we have to get together in Boston, and somehow I'd love to work together with you on doing some kind of a weekly or a monthly webcast live from Scullers, and we can really make it a classy event and high def and properly done, not cheesy or anything like that. But we could do something really hot, and I'll move to Boston and work for you,
Love to get together with you on that. That would be wonderful. Let me one more thing I want to tell you. I get involved in things that excite me, and I started paying attention to a young lady when she was 15 years old. At first, I thought, well, oh, it's a thing. But then I realized, my God, this girl has got talent. Here, I'll show you something. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
She's the saxophone player.
Yes, she's now 20 years old. Grace Kelly is her name, which is rather unusual.
Yes.
She's now 20 years old. This is the cover of Where magazine. It's called Sax in the City. She is an amazing talent. She's a Korean but born here, and she lives in the Boston area. She plays alto sax. She just finished the Berklee College of Music, and they have asked her to also be on the faculty. She's the youngest person ever to be on the Berklee faculty. And she in the last 5 years has traveled all over the world. She sold over 20,000 of her own produced CDs. And she finished Berklee this fall, and now she's full-time, and we'll be signing her with a record company very shortly. And it's another very exciting young talent that's beyond the ordinary. And I predict you're going to see her as a superstar in years to come.
You know, I went to your website for Scullers, and I quickly figured out that you're really quite the friend to female jazz musicians. There was a documentary produced, and it just came out this year. It's probably not even public. It's only on the film festival circuit right now. It's called The Girls in the Band, and it was produced by a woman in L.A., Judy Chaikin, and I had her on my show here on Chillin' with Larry Megan at the end of May, or maybe the beginning of May this year, and the movie is roughly, I want to say, it's a documentary about female jazz musicians from the 30s and 40s and 50s, and you know, they had a pretty rough road to hoe, and you know, it was a man's domain and all that kind of stuff, and they really were discriminated against. But I quickly figured out from looking at your website that you really are a friend to female jazz musicians, and of course, one of the all-time, you know, superstar women female jazz musicians, of course, is you have her right at the top of your website, and that's, of course, McPartland. What's her first name?
Marion McPartland.
Marion McPartland. Is she still alive?
Yes, she is not too well, but she did piano jazz, which was one of the long. Well, it's still running on public radio. But her stint, she started that, and that was an incredible program. Matter of fact, she had Grace Kelly was on that program with her. But yeah, Marion, she was married to Jimmy McPartland, who was a great trumpet player. There you go, Larry.
You have to see, I know, and you have to see this documentary, The Girls in the Band. I'll talk to you more about that. It is amazing, and Marion McPartland is hysterically funny. She's so British. She's so dry that she'll just bust you up. I am not kidding you. And she talks about the day of that famous picture in you know, she's one of only two females in the picture. That famous Harlem shot with all the famous jazz musicians, and her husband was invited, Jimmy McPartland, to be in the picture. And she said, "Come on, we have to go." And they had to be there at 8 in the morning for that famous shot in
it's called A Great Day in Harlem.
A Great Day in Harlem, yes. And of course, like I said, Marion was one of only two females in the entire shot. And she said, "Come on, we have to go." And he looked at her and he said, "You know, it's too fucking early," you know, and he went right back to sleep, and she never forgave him for that. But the way she delivers it, though, you have to see the movie. It's fantastic.
I'll give you just a quick Marion McPartland. There was some parade of pianists at some event, and this pianist that had just finished, she was going to be next up. And she turned to the person next to her and said, "Oh my, I hope he left me a few notes to play."
You have to imagine, her with her British humor and that
Yes.
dry delivery, and to realize how funny that would be.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I'm going to say goodbye, but for tonight, but I really want to say hello to my new friend, Fred Taylor, and I do want to get together with you in Boston, and we'll talk some more. And on the way out of this segment, what we're going to do, you mentioned for Eva Cassidy, Fields of Gold. And of course, that was one of the two really, big hits off of Songbird with Over the Rainbow. And M.Kwan, the Olympic skater for the U.S., of course, had heard that song and decided she wanted to skate to it. Of course, as you mentioned earlier tonight, that was made, popular by Sting, and she put her own spin on it. And M.Kwan put that into her routine, and of course, she did not win the gold in Salt Lake City in 2002. She was upset by a very young Sarah Hughes, but anyway, the next night on the exhibition night when they can have their free skate, she danced to Eva Cassidy, or she skated to Eva Cassidy's Fields of Gold. And of course, it really also helped to trigger Eva's popularity here in the States because it exposed her to a whole new audience that had never heard her before. So what we're going to do on the way out of this segment, Fred, and then we're going to go to a commercial, is we're going to play that song, Fields of Gold, and we're going to take a look at M.Kwan. So I want to say goodbye to you, Fred, and you might want to watch this.
It's been wonderful. And that's a wonderful way to go out.
Okay. Take care, Fred.
All right, bye-bye.
And the roar is for M.Kwan. Once again forced to put her Olympic disappointment aside and once again handling it all with dignity and grace. And the fans still love it.
Everyone here is standing for her. Success isn't always measured by a gold medal.
Okay, just beautiful. On the phone, we have Keith Grimes and Raice McLeod. Let me make a connection here. Raice, are you with us?
I am.
Fantastic. Keith, are you here?
I am indeed.
I think you two know each other.
Yeah, I've met this guy on at least 5 occasions.
Well, listen, it's really been a labor of love tonight with this Eva Cassidy tribute. You know, I'm sure you've heard it all before, how everybody just gets drawn in immediately. But just coming off of the, Fields of Gold, was that something that you both performed on?
Yeah. There was 2 guitars on that one. So I was playing the electric guitar, and Eva was playing acoustic on that one.
Okay. Very good.
And then when we performed the song live, it was with the full rhythm section, but that recorded version was guitars only.
Okay. And, one of the things that I want to start off, so we're not all talking over each other all the time, I want to start with Keith for a second here. And I don't know if you were watching earlier when I was speaking to Fred, but from my research that I've seen, at least, Eva in the beginning was not necessarily the most confident, singer or even guitar player. And yet you guys were very accomplished musicians surrounding her. And I really, want to say hats off to you guys for really sublimating yourselves, for Eva. And Keith, specifically to you now, what was that like for you? I mean, what did you must have saw something in her that gave you the confidence to, really help her and get her out front?
Well, I was aware that she was a really good musician right from the beginning. And what we were doing in all the accompaniments really was trying to put her vocal front and center. So really, it was the jewel and the whole thing was Eva's wonderful voice. So not to dismiss her guitar playing, which was also a big part of what she did. But that was sort of the jewel, and the setting that we were trying to put that in was the instrumental part of it. And that really did take a back seat to what was going on vocally, because that was such a beautiful sound she created that we were really just trying to put that in the proper setting. And hopefully we succeeded.
Mm-hmm. Raice, can you add something to that?
No, I agree with Keith that it was many ways an exercise in restraint, but that was a very willingly done. And there was never any question. The band was formed with one purpose and one purpose only, which was to frame Eva in the best way we could, and that was the intent from day one, and that's all we really concentrated on.
Wow. Okay. I made a remark earlier too. I don't know how you feel about it, but to me it's amazing that you have as much, in the can or recorded as there is. I mean, obviously, I'm sure everybody would like to have more, but I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel as though there was, things left on the table that never got in the can, or are you happy that you have what you have? I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of things that you wish you had that you didn't have.
Well, that's true enough, but we were fortunate in that Eva was a person who we didn't have a huge recording budget. We didn't have a recording budget at all. But Chris Biondo's studio was always available to us, and we wound up recording a lot of stuff that if we'd been paying for it, never would have gotten recorded. So we really did have a ton of stuff, and I mean, you can see how many records have come out since Eva passed, and it's a lot. So there was a lot of stuff recorded, and that had to do with the fact that we were able to record anytime we wanted to. A lot of the recordings that we made were intended, for more casual use than we never thought they were going to be released. But when we went back and looked at what we had, some of the things, although sonically they could have been improved, or the recording quality could have been better, there were some good performances, and everybody's worked really hard to dig up the ones that are good in the time since. And I think the record company has really released everything that Eva's fans would want to hear. And it did turn out to be a lot of material in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Raice, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, just that, highlighting the fact that the wonderful coincidence or happenstance was that Eva met Chris Biondo. Because, by the way, his name is Biondo. It was mentioned twice earlier.
Oh, did I say Biondi? I apologize.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, his name is Biondo. But that Eva met Chris was a marvelous happenstance because he became her greatest champion, and he was, and still is, a remarkably talented engineer and producer. He has a wonderful ear. He adored Eva, and basically Eva was in the perhaps slightly enviable position for those years of the band's existence of having essentially open door policy into a nice studio with an excellent producer, for which she never had to pay a penny. And as you well know, since you had an interest in music all your life, Larry, you know well that many, many singers would give their eye teeth for that.
Yes.
And Chris recorded everything he could. And then after, when Eva died, Chris, at the time, I was actually renting a part of Chris's house, and I saw what he went through, and Chris's therapy, in a way, in a sense, to get himself through that very sad time, was he worked just tirelessly on recovering every inch of tape, master tape that he could, that he thought would be usable, and cleaning it up and doing the very best he could, and thank heavens he did, because that's at least a great part of the reason why we have what we have.
That's awesome. He must have, I guess he works closely with the record company then.
Yeah. Him and Bill Straw at Blick Street Records were really in constant communication for a number of years with the work that Chris was doing with this stuff, and he did a lot of stuff really to make sure that those records came out and were good, and he worked in conjunction with Bill Straw at Blick Street, who was really kind of the final arbiter in terms of what tracks were selected. Those two guys were really the important guys when it came to, okay, what kind of records are we going to put out now? You know, what's the format of the records going to be? What tunes are going to be selected? So that was something that they were working together on real closely for a lengthy period of time.
I know it's got to be tough because I didn't even know Eva, and I can feel the loss. I mean, without even knowing her. I mean, for you guys, you must have been so close as a band. For either one of you who could speak to it, how did the band form? Was it, Eva looking to have accompaniment? Was it Chris that discovered Eva and brought his friends in? I mean, did you meet Eva? I mean, how did the whole band get put together?
Well, Chris was recording with Eva, and they were making recordings, and then they had a pool of musicians that they were working with. And at some point, they just both decided what we ought to do is go out and play, and A, make some money, and B, really develop something. And at that point, they started to want to put a band together. So that was Chris and Eva, and then Chris, among other things, plays bass. So he said, okay, I'll be the bass player. Eva can play guitar, so we got to get somebody else on guitar and somebody on drums. Or they just wanted to put together a good band, but how it worked out, was we had a nucleus of people that was myself, Chris, Eva, and Lenny Williams, who'd been recording with Eva since before I knew her, would play with us whenever we had the money to have a larger group when the budget was there. So at that point, the band was, we formed a band that was an entity that went out and played gigs. Eva didn't even want to call it the Eva Cassidy Band.
Okay.
But I said, well, Eva, you're the lead vocalist on every song but one. So I think if we're going to name it after anybody, it really ought to be you. And I had to get Chris to back me up on that before she would agree to it. So that was pretty funny. But so it was almost the Keith Grimes Band there.
Really? Well,
and we had started out with an excellent drummer named Jimmy Campbell, but Raice joined up with us pretty early on in the game. So we had a consistent unit together for about 4 or 5 years, and that was helpful in developing the sound.
Okay. And a couple questions that pop into my mind right away is what was it like the first time Chris calls you up, say we need a guitar player, Raice, we need a drummer. You probably got together for a rehearsal or something like that. What was your first impression? How did that go? Did you think there was anything special there, or was it just another band, or what did you?
Well, Raice, why don't you go ahead? What was it like for you?
Well, the band, as Keith mentioned, I was actually replacing somebody who had decided to move on, and in the very early days of the band, and I got the call to come on in, actually just through an agency that where my number was, and it was very low keyed, but within a few bars of hearing Eva sing, I was well aware of the fact that there was something very special. Chris Biondo had called me on it, and he had been very honest and said the band was forming. There was no money in it yet, and no one knew where it was all going to go. But the phrase he said to me was, "But you will get to play with the best singer in the world."
Wow.
And of course, I've heard that before, and I've played with a lot of singers over the years, and you take that with a grain of salt. But he pretty much spoke the truth. So I once I heard her and played the audition, and once the guys offered me the position a few days later, I didn't hesitate to take it, and certainly never regretted it. My comments would be too that the band, I should say that I've played in a lot of bands in English for a long time, and the band was notable for its complete lack of ego. I've never been in another band ever, before or since, that was so completely unaffected by anyone's ego getting in the way. There was a complete agreement, unstated, quiet agreement that we were there for one purpose only, to make Eva feel comfortable. And that's what we did, and that's all we worked together on. It was an amazingly peaceful, easy, comfortable, and happy band to work with. And as I mentioned when I spoke to you earlier on, I think a couple of days ago, Larry, when you called me, I'm almost now completed on a book I've been working on for quite a long time, actually for too long, but it's going to be completed soon, and the book is about the Eva Cassidy Band, and it's the book of the story from when Eva first met Chris Biondo until her sad loss. And that'll be out fairly, hopefully, the final manuscript in the editor's hands by the end of this year. So,
well, I sure want to be. I want to, make sure I get a copy of that. I'd love to read that. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be great. Friend me on Facebook. I mean, if you do Facebook, I mean, I shouldn't assume. Sure. I assume that you do, but maybe I shouldn't make that assumption. Was it you?
No, I do. Yeah.
Was it you, Keith, that told me you had an aversion to Facebook, or was that someone else?
Oh, yeah, I'm sort of a computer caveman. But people out there, don't be like me. In fact, you're already not like me if you're listening to this.
Okay, very good. What was the other question I had? So right off the bat, from the very first rehearsal, as far as Raice you're concerned, you came in a little later. You felt there was something special. Was it the same for you, Keith?
Yeah, Chris was almost too sure that I didn't know Chris well, although he was an acquaintance of mine, but he was almost too sure that his singer was so wonderful that it almost made me sure that she couldn't be, if you can follow that. But when I came in, he just played me some stuff they'd been doing in the studio, and I could hear that Eva really had it going on as a singer, although some of the recordings, I wasn't crazy about some of the recordings, which were just demos, but even some of them I liked, some of them I didn't, but even on the ones I didn't like it, I could tell that she was really good and that I was interested in working with her, and then when I heard her, you know the rest. So I said, okay, no problem here, let's go.
But it still had to be, somewhat of a what do you call it? Like a conundrum, where, you have Chris telling you the greatest singer in the world, and you hear the voice and everything, and then when you meet her, evidently from my research, she was very shy, and I even read she wasn't even all that confident. Maybe that was before she met you. I don't know, but so I mean, because you hear that a singer is so well or so good, wouldn't you automatically expect maybe not diva-like behavior, but certainly, as Raice was pointing out, this band was devoid of any ego problems or whatever, but you would think so. And then you see this shy person. Are you thinking like, wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture?
Well, I don't think Eva had a realistic assessment of her own capabilities. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
In that, I think that she was aware when she wasn't at her best and would always strive to give a peak performance. But I don't think she had an awareness of the dimension of her gift.
Wow.
And we actually would have conversations about that. And I'd say, you don't realize how good you are. And she didn't. But so that was one side of it. There was another side of it, which is her whole life was basically lived according to her trying to work with her various artistic disciplines, and she was aware that she was good. I noticed that if we played for an audience and the audience wasn't as responsive as we thought they should have been, she wouldn't get mad at herself for not being good enough. She'd get mad at them. So that tells me that she had some awareness of what she was doing was of a quality, but the dimension and the depth of her gift was something that she really didn't. I don't think she quite got it ever. How good she was. So we had that to deal with, just because I think it would have been easier if she'd really had some sense of how vast her talent was.
Wow. So is it fair to say that you helped her a lot in that regard, Keith, and maybe everybody in the band, as far as Chris and Raice as well, helped her in that regard?
Well, I think Raice would agree with me totally on this, that there were a lot of people pushing from behind to help Eva in terms of emotional support, musical support. She had a lot of supporters, and that was really important for her because she wasn't one that was going to push herself out there. You know, a lot of people that don't even have her level of talent are going like, I have something that's worth hearing, and I'm going to get it out there come hell or high water. And that wasn't Eva at all. She had 10 times the talent of most people, but she wasn't. She didn't feel convinced that the world absolutely needed to hear this. I don't think. I think she just wanted to express herself, make a living, and not be bothered.
Yeah,
were really her goals.
The shocking thing to me is that you read all the comments on her website in her guest book and other places, and you heard the conversation I had with Fred, and it's like almost everyone has the similar story that you hear it one time. I can't think of another singer, and I love female singers. I mean, my favorite is Judy Garland. In fact, that's how I discovered Eva a couple years ago on the internet, just by doing a search for, Over the Rainbow, and I saw this, version. There was actually a young Canadian girl, I can't remember her name now, who did a pretty amazing version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. If you were to say the name, I would remember it. But she had a lot of vocal runs and that type of thing in there, which is pretty showy. and I clicked on this Over the Rainbow Eva Cassidy, and I was blown away. But I didn't, I think I even purchased a download, but from Amazon. But I didn't really act on it or do anything. And now you fast forward a couple years later, and I came across her again, and I really felt compelled to try and do something here, a show or whatever. But it's like everybody's reaction has a similar story in that, they hear it one time, they pull over to the side of the road, or they stop. I never heard that about any other singer.
Well, the voice, the natural instrument that she was blessed with, was truly remarkable. And it's also truly remarkable when you think of the fact that when we performed, Eva never warmed up, Eva never did vocal exercises, Eva basically never practiced. She sang a lot. She would sing to herself. And as I've discovered talking to many people I've interviewed for the book, is that she was at work and so on, she'd often be singing. But it was really a remarkably effortless natural talent. And
don't you hate that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's and then she could paint as well. Multi-talented people really make you angry, but that's another story. But she. I just go back for 1 second, just to hark on what you asked Keith about before. The one thing, her shyness was legendary. It wasn't quite as simple as that. She was perfectly comfortable and confident around people she was comfortable with. She was, her shyness was reserved for certain situations, and which I think, maybe a lot of people are shy. You walk into a strange room full of, in a party, walk into a room, you don't know anybody. Some of us are not necessarily overly confident about walking around and introducing ourselves. That's perhaps not an extreme shyness. She was an introvert. She was a true introvert, and that showed up in certain respects. But to just reinforce Keith's point, when Eva opened her mouth to sing, the shyness tended to go away immediately. She knew she could sing. And I've seen her walk on stages where she's been off stage, has been quite nervous and visibly nervous, and we're talking. We worked some large rooms, large stages. Walk out there, as soon as the mouth opened and the first note came out, there was no lack of confidence there. She knew she could do some things. She knew she could paint. She knew she could sing, and she did those things with confidence. So that's it. Wasn't all shyness by any means.
Okay, Raice, I have another thought that came to mind. Is you hear over and over. It came up tonight with Fred. How the record companies didn't know what to do with her because of her, I guess, affection for many different genres. You guys being accomplished musicians, both of you, I mean, did you have a certain, were you a rock guitar player, Keith, and, or were you a jazz drummer, Raice? I mean, did you have a certain thing you fit into, or before you joined up with Eva? And this was...
From my point of view, actually, the truth, jack of all trades, master of none. I started as a pop rock drummer in the late 60s, played over the years, played some jazz, played some big band stuff, wound up doing some heavy rock at one point, then did some show band things. No, I never really concentrated on one genre, which actually, in a sense, probably made working with Eva ideal for me, because you did have to cover a lot of bases with her. And I don't think any of us, we didn't try to push her into any one position. We did have conversations with her when there was conversations going on, negotiations going on, mostly with Chris or with her then manager, Al Dale, with this or that recording company, possibilities of a demo. And there were conversations basically aimed at saying, can we pick a genre, even if it's not something that you are in love with? And the response with her was, and you talked about Bruce Lundvall earlier on when you were talking with the gentleman from Boston. I've interviewed Bruce a couple of times in his office in New York for the book, and he told me that I was sitting in the chair that he had, in which he had signed Norah Jones and Cassandra Wilson, and he said he wished he had signed Eva Cassidy. But he talked about her saying to him and one of his A&R guys in the office when one of them asked Eva, "What do you want to do?" And she said, "Well, I don't want to sing any of that pop crap." And that kind of answer, of course, was the very thing which meant that the A&R guy, as Bruce said, the A&R guy was kind of lukewarm, not because of her obvious astounding voice and talent, but because of the old story. How do you market her? Where do we put her? We have to put her somewhere in the genre. And I think that many people in Bruce Lumville's position would now agree that, actually, interestingly enough, I think that it was Eva's story and the failure of any of those major labels to sign her that actually did something to just maybe change that thinking a wee bit. Because in the years since Eva died, quite a few singers have come along who have not necessarily fit perfectly into this or that pigeonhole, but they've been signed and they've done well anyway. And the word from some people is that is because some people realized that there was a terrible mistake made when they missed out on Eva.
And Keith, before I get your take on that, I guess what I'm wondering is, and thank you for sharing that, Raice, I guess what I'm getting at is, how did that mentality sit with you, or sit with you accomplished musicians? Maybe you had aspirations to, get a record deal and make a financial career out of music, and the singer you're with wants to do gospel and country and all these different things. How did that sit with you guys? And then secondly, as a tail on that, basically, I don't want to say you're doing cover songs, because there's much more than that. It's interpretations of classic songs. But I mean, I don't know if anybody, I'm not that big in the, on the music industry to know this, but it doesn't seem like too many people come along and make a new career out of reinventing old songs. I'm thrilled that she did that. I said earlier, to me, it's refreshing. But it seems like to make it in this world, you almost have to be doing original material, don't you?
Well, that's a good point. But, Sinatra never wrote a song.
And I'm down with you on that. I love that.
But if you're wondering if we were bothered about the fact that Eva didn't care about being successful, or didn't care in a way that she wasn't hungry for success, and whether or not we cared about that, well, we were just trying to get the best music out of the situation, and that was really unaffected by any commercial considerations. So I'm glad things happened like that. As far as introducing our own songs into the whole thing, I have mixed feelings about that. One good thing that you've already brought out is that Eva was always recording classic songs. So when you're hearing Eva, you're not only hearing a great voice, you're hearing a great song picked by a discerning individual who knows what she can do a great job on. And you're never listening to... In the singer-songwriter era, you've got some brilliant singer-songwriters, and then you've got people who can do one or the other really well. And so you're either hearing somebody who sings great doing material that may not be up to the level of the songs that Eva recorded in some cases, or else somebody who's a brilliant writer who doesn't have a great voice. With Eva, you were hearing a great voice on great material at all times. So I'm not sorry that happened at all. And as far as money went, I really was just trying to realize my musical aspirations in that group, and I thought he was capable of having a huge success. I always thought that was possible, although I didn't dream it quite as big as it's later become. But she doesn't care about that, and it may never happen for that reason. But if you're willing to stay here because you like the quality of the music and feel that you're meeting your own artistic goals, then go ahead and do that. And that was enough to keep me doing it for as many years as we did, right up until Eva died. And at that point, I, like everybody else, could not have foreseen that those records would become as successful as they have. But I'm glad that they've reached as many people as they have.
Well, I think that in many ways, I mean, we're all lucky to experience Eva's talent, but at the same time, I think it's fair to say that I think Eva was very fortunate and lucky to have teamed up with all of you because, and I think, to hear it from an established person, I'm not a music industry person, I just appreciate music, but to hear it from Fred Taylor just a little bit ago, where he actually was complimenting the musicians that she played with. I don't know if you heard that comment, but, I think it took a certain amount of selflessness and professionalism on your part to play that role. And obviously she had a lot of respect for you guys. I think it's time we should play a song here. And, before we sign out, we still got a couple things left to do. And I had read online, Keith, that one of your favorite songs that you had done or that was in the can was Stormy Monday. So, Raice, do you have any objection to Stormy Monday?
No, that'd be just fine.
Did you perform on that one as well?
I'm sitting here, we recorded, in some cases, more than one version of songs. And
right.
I'm not sure, depending on which album that cuts from, I'm not sure.
Well,
that's Raice on drums. It's the one from Live at Blues Alley.
It's Live at Blues Alley. I wondered.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's the Blues Alley. Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to take the performance one because we can see Keith on the guitar. So, Ronnie, do you have that queued up? Let's do it, guys.
Okay.
They call it Stormy Monday. But Tuesday's just as bad. Wednesday is worse, and Thursday's also sad. Saturday, I go out to play. The eagle flies on Friday. Saturday, I go out to play. Church, that's when I get down on my knees and I pray. I say, Lord have mercy. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord have mercy on me. Don't you know I'm just trying to find my feet?
Well, pretty awesome. You love to see the just the scope of her styles and range. But sorry, Raice, that we didn't have a shot of you in there playing the drums.
Yeah, that's the drummer's lot. We get hidden behind guitar players. That's the way it goes.
It's kind of like in baseball. They say the catcher wears the tools of ignorance. It's kind of like you say, the drummer. This is the life we've chosen, right? The drummer's lot. But very nicely done, Keith. Really nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. Does that bring back memories for you guys?
In a long time. That's such a standard tune, but there's so few people that can really do something with it. But she certainly could, as we heard.
Does it bring back good memories for you guys?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't listen to those records all the time because for a lot of different reasons, and I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are sitting around listening to the stuff they did 15 years ago night and day, because you just can't do that as an artist.
True.
And maintain your sanity, because all you hear on the records is stuff you wish you'd done differently. But when I do hear these things, it just takes me right back to how great Eva is and how much fun it was to be making that music with her.
Were you guys close friends too? Not just bandmates, but really hung out and those kinds of things?
Well, Chris and Eva were romantically involved for a period of time while I was in the band, and they were always really close. So their relationship went far beyond friendship. But with me, we'd worked a lot together, and we saw each other often, but it was really mostly in the context of our work together that I would see Eva, who didn't live terribly close to me. And we had a few social opportunities to get together, but mostly it was work. I mean, a lot of socializing went on there, but that was the kind of relationship it was for me. We got to know each other well, but through our work together mostly.
Ronnie, I think I put a picture of the four of them. Now, Eva's not in the picture, but it was Chris and of course Raice and Lenny and Keith. You got it? Yeah, there it is. I guess this might be the only picture that exists of you four guys. No?
Yeah, the paparazzi finally got one of us.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a good. Unfortunately, there's just not a good photographic record of the band at all, which is a great shame.
Because I'm very handsome.
Right, exactly. Where would we be without you? But it's actually because I know this because I've been ransacking trying to find images here for the book, and seeing other people around who might have some photographs, but there's just not a lot around.
Well, maybe with Photoshop you could take a picture of Eva and kind of put her into that shot, and then you'd have.
Oh, sure, yeah, we could. Yeah, we could make one nowadays. That's right. Yeah. We could even make Keith good looking if we looked.
I don't know if the technology's there yet.
In some of Keith's shots, I honestly get a little bit reminiscent about Pete Townsend. Have you ever heard that, Keith?
No, I don't. I get Eric Clapton sometimes, which is Eric Clapton would probably be mortified if he knew about that. but I'll take it. But this is the first Pete Townsend. But if that puts me any near their level talent-wise, I'll take it.
Wow, I of course get Animal, so that's just the Muppets. That's
accurate.
Very nice. So, what are you guys up to now? Before we, sign off and everything, you still, playing in bands, or you forming a band?
About 2 years after Eva died. At the time I was playing in other things as well and working during the day. And then about 2 years after we lost Eva, Keith called me, and he was in another band and with another singer, a local lady here, a very fine R&B blues singer named Mary Shaver. And he needed a drummer. And strange enough, the same gentleman who had been in Eva's band at the time I stepped in had just moved on from this band. So he called me up and said if I wanted to go in. So I did, and we're still playing in that band. That's been many years now. And in fact, we're playing together. We just played last weekend. We're playing together this Saturday, and it's called the Mary Shaver Band. And and that's been an ongoing and fun thing we've been involved in ever since.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we'd be remiss, or I would be remiss, if I didn't at least mention or bring up, again, through my research, it seems as though Chuck Brown played some kind of a important role in Eva's development. Can either one of you speak to that? I heard he passed away earlier this year.
Yeah, we lost Chuck, and that was, sad for a lot of people. But he got. I'd rather that Chuck would just come back to us. But if he was going to go, I was very pleased to see that the banner headline in all the Washington papers, the most important thing that happened that day was Chuck's passing, and that's how important he was to D.C. So he was really kind of a towering figure, but Eva was a fully developed artist by the time Chuck got a hold of her. He just realized she was great, and he wanted to make an album that was that went in a little bit different direction from the kinds of records he'd been making, and he saw Eva as being a key to that. And recording with Eva gave her a little bit more commercial presence. There were people that were aware that she existed that would never have known had it not been for the Chuck connection. So Chuck was really helpful with. Chuck was a known artist, and Eva was really an unknown artist who got a lot of exposure through her work with Chuck. So that while she was alive, that was the biggest commercial boost we ever got, was our association with him.
So
God bless Chuck for many reasons, but for that one, certainly.
You both played with Chuck then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He kind of crossed over. He was once he decided to do this thing with Eva, he worked with her band. It was Eva Cassidy band featuring Chuck Brown, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the gigs we did with him, we also augmented with lots of other people, some of his fabulous musicians that he had. But as Keith pointed out, but it is worth emphasizing, people even in the other parts of the United States of America have no clue just how huge Chuck was and is in D.C. Mm-hmm. He was a true superstar here in D.C. And when we lost him, the city large segment of the city came to a standstill for several hours with his viewing. They had city blocks roped off. It was an enormous event, his viewing and then his funeral. And he was absolutely huge. And the fact that he decided to do this, Chris Biondo, once again, was instrumental in that, because Chris Biondo exposed Chuck to Eva's voice. He played some of Eva's tracks for Chuck one night when Chuck was recording with Chris. And Chuck had been thinking about doing some jazz things, and he decided to get on that. And from that came an album called The Other Side, mm-hmm. which was an album of tracks. There's, I think, one or two tracks from each artist alone, and the rest of the tracks are duo tracks on there, and a bunch of great tunes. Once again, great classic standard tunes. And they're marvelous together, absolutely fabulous together. And that album is still, to this day, hasn't really received its due. And it's a great album.
Wow, it sounds like you both have just great affection, for Chuck Brown. And it seems, from the outside looking in, it seems like an unlikely pairing, but obviously there was great respect both ways there, and it's really about the music.
Yeah, well, although it's been pointed out by many people that Eva was shy, she could, if she could relate to somebody musically, she could get along with them fine. And although Chuck and Eva were from, very, very different places as people and their backgrounds and whatnot, musically they understood each other just fine. And Chuck was delighted to know somebody like Eva, who was very different for him, and it was mutual. Eva was flattered that somebody with Chuck's level of achievement and he was somebody she respected, and the fact that he wanted to work with her was great for her. That might have been one of the first things that did kind of acquaint her with the fact that she was a little special after all, because that was something that we had to hammer on her to convince her of.
Wow. Well, one of the words that comes up a lot when discussing Eva Cassidy, and you see it in many comments, is her soul. She has so much soul. And not that a white person can't have soul. You don't have to be black to be a brother. I mean, believe me, I know this. And but, you know, she certainly, I think, surprises people with her soul. I've even read comments from people who said that when they heard her, they thought she was black and they were surprised to see she was white, which, you know, it's just, it doesn't do anything for me that way, one way or the other, but she sure had a lot of soul.
Well, she had a natural affinity for a lot of black styles. Her enthusiasms weren't limited to that, but she was some of the many musical forms she was into were like blues and gospel and jazz, soul music, what they called soul music, that late 60s rhythm and blues stuff like Otis Redding and Sam and Dave. And she was definitely way into Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles, like I was. And that was one of the things in the beginning that made me realize that I could vibe with this person just fine.
You know, some of her choices.
So she took a lot of influence from that, but it was assimilated into her style in a way that you don't get that white person trying to sound like a black person thing that really is kind of tedious. It all just, she synthesized her elements, and it all just came out Eva Cassidy, and it wasn't a white sound or a black sound. It was just a beautiful sound. But she really, it was aware that it was evident that she'd listened to that and been influenced by that stream of music and had assimilated it in a big way.
One of the things that is surprising to me, I know it's time to put a wrap here, but things keep coming to mind here, is her choices of songs to me are absolutely astonishing. You know, we're talking about, you know, soul influence and things like that, jazz influence. I mean, where did she come up with these choices? She picks Honeysuckle Rose, which, I mean, you know, I like, you know, stuff from the old days and the 30s and 40s and big bands and jazz and, you know, swing and those kinds of things. That's a Fats Waller tune from 1929. You know, that's been sung by Lena Horne. To me, Lena Horne does the definitive Honeysuckle Rose. I mean, don't get me wrong. Eva does a beautiful job, as she does with everything. But that's been done by Ella. That's been done by, you know, I mean, you name it. Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan. I mean, where does Eva come up with these choices?
Well, the one thing is that she she could surprise us, because you're quite right. She picked Honeysuckle Rose, and she picked you know, Cheek to Cheek. She also walked in one day at a rehearsal and said she wanted to do The Letter. If you remember the old box top thing that
absolutely.
Then covered by Joe Cocker.
Yes.
Well, that was a totally Eva pick. That was no one else in the band. Eva walked in with that one. And frankly, it's one of those things where we all kind of took a look at each other thinking, what on earth? But something about that song she wanted to do. Keith supplied many suggestions. He would bring in a lot of tunes for her to try. Lenny also, and Chris. Everyone had tunes they brought in for her to try. And a huge number were rejected. We used to rehearse quite frequently, and there was a lot of tunes. I have no idea how many now. Who knows? But there were many times we tried, a couple of choruses of a tune, maybe changed the key, messed it a bit, and then just said no, it doesn't work, and dropped it. But there was one of the nice side effects of Eva's refusal to be cast into a genre was the fact that we were able to draw on tunes from an enormously wide range of genres. And that's just a nice benefit.
Wow.
Yeah, the only thing I wouldn't go along with her on is one time she came in and she wanted to do the surf instrumental Pipeline.
No kidding. Yeah, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Right. And I said, I would enjoy doing it, you would enjoy doing it, but what we're trying to do here is enhance artistic credibility, and I think that Pipeline is going to just have to wait for another lifetime.
Okay, so I mean, there was some musical indifferences at times. There has to be.
Well, I think anything that she was enthusiastic about singing, we were on board for. Sometimes we had a problem of a small problem for me in that she was a killer interpreter of ballads, and she did so many of the songs that are people's favorites are her ballad tunes, although it's been demonstrated the broad variety of things she could do well. But left to her own devices, we would have been doing entire sets of ballads. And I said, we can't present ourselves this way. We've got to have a varied program of music. And that was why I made so many song suggestions, because all of my suggestions were exclusively non-ballad material. And we still did a lot of ballads.
Well, Keith, can you give us one example of one of your suggestions that we can see evidence of still today?
Drowning in a Sea of Love was a Joe Simon tune that was typical of the kind of thing that I would try to get Eva to do. So we would have some extroverted tunes that were in an area that she could do well, that would get us across with an audience that oftentimes wasn't there specifically to see us, and really was out for a good time on Friday night. And I said, we got to have a few hard-hitting songs here, just to get them to listen to the things that are closest to your heart. So we were just in the interests of surviving commercially and on a local level, and also in the interests of having a varied program of music. There were things that were suggested that might not have been Eva's suggestions. So as with any band, there's a lot of give and take.
Right.
I think there's despite the level of Eva's talent, the fact that there was no money for anybody, that's a great equalizing factor in decision making.
Yes. Good call.
And certainly everybody had a say in how things were decided, but we were always trying to bring out the best in Eva, and she understood that. So whatever small differences there were that existed in putting together arrangements and stuff like that, there weren't major arguments. I think we all were pretty much on the same page stylistically, so that smoothed out the lumps in the oatmeal for us.
Well, it sounds like you guys had the experience of a lifetime. Guys, I want you to hang with me. We're going to wrap up the show. What we do, I know you're not familiar with Chillin' with Larry Megan, but I end every show with a segment, and I'm going to have that segment, but we're going to make an exception tonight where every show we call it Always Chasing Rainbows. I always have one Judy Garland moment, and it's at the last segment of every show. It's a quickie. And so tonight we're going to make a little bit of a deviation. So Ronnie, with that said, let's go to Always Chasing Rainbows. Well, it's that time of the night we're going to put a wrap on the show, and as is our custom, we end every show with this Judy Garland segment, and that's because Judy Garland is my favorite. My mother loved Judy Garland, and when I was a little kid, we would have to sit around the TV set on Friday nights and watch the Judy Garland show. But for me, it's not about her best show or best movie. It's always about those Judy Garland moments in film that I find inspirational. And tonight, for the first time, Ronnie, I think this is about our approximately 60th show, right around there over the last 2 years. And for the first time, we're not going to play a Judy Garland song. So we're making an exception tonight. It's a pretty obvious choice, what we're going to do here. But I find this very inspirational as any Judy Garland song has ever been. You guys, you know where I'm going, right?
I think I can guess.
Over the Rainbow. Let's do it, Ronnie. Hang with me, guys.
Yeah, by all means.
The rainbow way, once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow skies, a blue wind, the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, oh, way above the chimney tops. That's where you find me. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, oh, way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. If happy little bluebirds fly above the rainbow wide, oh, why can't I?
Wow, it's just so powerful. Keith, any final thoughts tonight?
Oh, yeah. Boy, I haven't heard that particular version. That's the one from Blues Alley, I guess, because it's just guitar with no keyboards and stuff on it. And Yeah, there is something tremendously powerful about one person with one instrument. So I was enjoying listening to that one almost as much as the studio one that was done. And they're both great, and on both of them you just hear the power of this person's voice and interpretive gifts. So always great to hear that.
Keith, I want to thank you so much for participating tonight, and want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Raice, any final thoughts?
Thanks indeed for having us. If I would like to say also a thank you for, I know on behalf of the two members of the band who weren't with you tonight, which is, of course, Chris Biondo and Lainey Williams.
Sure.
They'll be greatly appreciative of your efforts, and thank you very much indeed. It's been a fun experience.
And Raice, I want to wish you all the best with your book. Maybe they'll make a movie out of it. I think it's about time. But all the best with that and all your future endeavors. Thanks, guys.
Take care now,
Larry.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, guys, that'll bring us to the close of another show. And for that whole last 45 minutes segments, we had I could see, Ronnie, in the module here, that we had callers trying to get in, but the problem was we had both of our Skype lines taken up with the two guys. We made a creative decision to have them both on at the same time, so the callers couldn't get through. And I do apologize to both Raice and Keith that evidently there were some people that wanted to talk to them, but we don't have that kind of phone system that can do that. We'll have to get another line, Ronnie. We'll have to get a third line. But anyway, I also want to give a tremendous, thank you to, of course, Hugh and Barbara Cassidy, who joined us tonight and supported our efforts in doing this webcast. I want to thank, of course, Fred Taylor. Fred, it meant a lot having you on the show tonight, and I hope we're going to get to meet in person soon. And also, I do want to throw a thank you out there to Roger. Roger, is it Lifeset? Yeah, Roger Lifeset, who couldn't be with us tonight, but he did give us a phone interview, and we appreciated that as well. And Ronnie, a great show tonight. Great show, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And remember, never give up. Always keep following your dreams. Keep chasing those rainbows. Until next week, I'm Larry Megan. Peace, love, and all good things.
Chill with Larry Megan.